This is the IXlab Research Podcast.
All right, so have you ever thought about like how you decide what to click on when you're, searching for something online?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, like what makes one result stand out more than the others? What makes it feel more relevant?
Yeah, it's funny how we just sort of do it without really thinking about it.
Exactly. And that's actually what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah.
You shared this super interesting research paper with me,
Yeah.
and it uses some really cool tech to kind of like look into people's brains while they're making these relevance judgments.
It's pretty wild.
It is wild. So basically, the researchers had people reading these short news stories, and they were trying to answer specific questions. But here's the thing.
Okay.
While they were reading, the researchers were tracking their eye movements and even their brain activity. It's like,
Wow. So they were like,
I know, it's like they were spying on their brains.
yeah, like scientists playing detective with our eyeballs and brainwaves.
Exactly. So before we get to the results, maybe you can give us a little background on the tech they used.
Sure. So first up, we've got eye tracking, which basically records where your eyes are looking and for how long.
Okay.
So it gives you clues about what's grabbing your attention.
So it's like seeing the world through someone else's eyes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then there's EEG, which that's short for electroencephalography.
Okay, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
Yeah, no worries. Most people just call it EEG.
Okay, EE, got it.
So EEG picks up on electrical signals in your brain.
Oh.
It's kind of like listening to your brain's hum as it's working.
So they were really getting a full picture of what was going on in people's heads.
Exactly. They wanted to understand not just what people were looking at, but also how their brains were reacting to it.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So what did they find out? Did people's brains actually act differently when they were reading something relevant?
You know what? That is a great question, and that's what we're going to get into right after the break. So to answer your question, they found some pretty interesting stuff. So, like, they took all that data, the eye movements and the brain waves, and they kind of broke down each reading session into these, like, 3 stages: the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Okay, so they were looking at how things changed over time as people read through the whole story.
Exactly. And for each of those stages, they actually developed a way to predict whether someone was reading something relevant or not, based on their eye movements and brainwaves.
So it's like they were creating some kind of like relevance decoder.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like if your eyes do this and your brainwaves do that, then boom, you're probably reading something important.
That's so cool.
It is. And what they found was that this decoder, it got much better at predicting relevance in the middle and end stages of reading compared to the beginning.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The more you read, the more context you have.
Yeah.
So you're better at figuring out what's actually useful.
Right, exactly. It really reinforces this idea that relevance isn't like an instant judgment. It's something our brains figure out over time.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this evolving sense of relevance as we read.
Yeah.
But what about those aha moments we talked about? When people find the exact answer they're looking for?
Oh, yeah, those were interesting. So they tracked when people's eyes landed on like the crucial relevant words.
Yeah.
And they found some really telling patterns in both eye movements and brain activity right around those moments.
So it's like they hit pause right at the moment of discovery and zoomed in on what was happening.
Exactly. And the eye movement patterns were especially revealing.
Like what kind of patterns?
Well, for example, they found that people's pupils, they tended to dilate, get a little bigger when they were reading relevant information, especially like towards the end of the reading session.
Wait, so our pupils are like giving us away.
Yeah.
They change depending on what we're reading.
Yeah. It seems like they're a pretty good indicator of our attention and focus.
Wow, that's crazy. So what about the brain waves? Did they find anything interesting happening in the brain during those aha moments?
They did find some patterns, but they weren't quite as clear as the eye tracking data. It's almost like the brain is just a more complex instrument, harder to tune into those specific moments.
Yeah, it makes sense. But even if the brainwave data was a bit fuzzier, it still adds another layer to the story, right?
Oh, absolutely. Using both methods together gives us a much richer picture. It's like having multiple witnesses to an event.
Yeah.
You get different perspectives.
That's a great analogy. So we've got the eye movements, the pupil dilation, the brain waves, all pointing to this fascinating process of relevance unfolding in our minds.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But here's a question that's been bugging me. If our brains are so good at filtering information and picking out what's important, are there times when those filters fail us? What about misinformation or bias? Could our own preconceptions kind of distort our sense of what's relevant?
That's a really important question. And honestly, it's something that I think about a lot too. This study didn't specifically look at misinformation or bias, but it does highlight how active our brains are in constructing our own reality. We're not just passively absorbing information, we're constantly filtering it and interpreting it through our own lens.
So it's not just about what's out there, it's about how our minds choose to process it.
Exactly. And that means we have a responsibility to be aware of our own biases, to question our assumptions and be open to challenging our own perspective.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So how can we actually use this knowledge to improve things? How can we make technology work with our brains instead of against them?
Yeah, so imagine a world where technology actually works with our brains instead of against them.
Okay, I'm trying to picture it. What does that look like?
Well, think about search engines. Right now, they're mostly about matching keywords.
Right.
But what if they could actually understand what you're really looking for? Like the intent behind your search. They could take into account, your past searches, your interests, even your mood at that moment.
Oh, wow. So it would be like truly personalized results.
Exactly. You wouldn't just get a generic list of websites. You'd get stuff that's actually relevant to what you're trying to do.
That'd be amazing.
And it goes beyond search, too. Imagine educational platforms that adapt to how you learn best.
Oh, yeah.
Presenting information in a way that makes it easier for you to understand.
That would be a game changer for so many people.
Right, or think about recommendation systems. For books or movies.
Yeah.
They could suggest things that you'll actually find valuable, not just what's popular.
It's like having a personal assistant for your brain.
Exactly, curating information and experiences just for you.
That sounds incredible. But is this even possible? I mean, is this something we can actually achieve?
Oh, yeah. It's not just science fiction. Researchers are already developing technologies based on these insights about how our brains work.
Wow. So we're really on the verge of this new era where technology can help us learn better, make better decisions.
Exactly. And navigate this crazy information overload we're all facing.
It's exciting, but it also makes me think about the potential downsides. If technology becomes so personalized, could it be used to manipulate us?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. I mean, we need to make sure these tools are used ethically, with safeguards in place to protect our privacy.
It's like any powerful technology.
Yeah.
Right? It could be used for good or bad.
Exactly. It's up to us to make sure it's used for good.
This has been such a mind-blowing conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing the world in a whole new way.
I know, me too. It's amazing what we can learn when we start to understand how our brains work.
And that's exactly what this deep dive is all about.
Yeah.
So a huge thank you to you, our listener, for joining us on this journey.
Absolutely.
We hope you learned something new and maybe even got a few aha moments of your own.
And hopefully a little more appreciation for the amazing power of your brain.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.